Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time again for this week's Unfiltered News from the Reality Zone, where political correctness is not spoken here. Compiled by G. Edward Griffin and his editors, Cassandra Anderson, photo and humor scout, Joanne Glover, and proofreaders, Tom Parker. And it's for this week of January 25th to 31st, 2014. And this is the headlines for this week. If I can get this to work, which I'm having all types of trouble with IE this week. Don't understand that. I keep getting the same problem. Bear with it. Once it recovers, everything should be okay here. Okay. And this week's comic strip is shows King Obama, and he says, "Republicans and I agree that government is too big, so I'm eliminating the legislative branch." Again, he's being shown what he is, a dictator. Anyways, the headlines that you may have missed for this week. First up, Colorado. A new study shows there is a whopping 30% increase in the number of birth defects in families living within 10 miles of natural gas fracking operations. It is unlikely that Colorado will curtail fracking or frack drilling because the industry employs 44,000 people in the state and brings in hundreds of millions of dollars. RT, January 31st. Video. A former Russian official who blew the whistle on $30 billion in payoffs to government officials for the Sochi Olympics now is exiled in the UK and fears for his life. President Putin denies any knowledge of corruption in spite of the fact that well-connected politicians close to him have become incredibly wealthy. ABC, January 30th. Next, video. Human Rights Watch reports on deplorable working conditions amounting to slave labor and brute treatment of workers for construction crews that built the Sochi, I guess how it's pronounced, Olympics arena. You will not hear about this on the Russia Today news channel, CNN, January 30th. In California, anti-drone bill requires probable cause warrants for surveillance and an outright ban on weaponized drones. The bill has passed the Assembly, but still must be passed by the state Senate and signed by the governor. Bills to restrict the use of drones have been passed in Virginia, Florida, Idaho, Illinois, Oregon, Tennessee, and Texas. 10th Amendment Center, January 30th. And here is a extension to it. You can take action by lobbying lawmakers in your state to restrict drone uses by clicking this link, which I'll have a link to this week's Reality Zone to this actual newsletter. Just looking up ahead here. In a video, U.S. House Republicans are pushing a lawsuit to challenge Obama's executive orders, which have the effect of changing or negating laws of Congress. Fox, January 30th. Next, U.S. Republicans has proposed an alternative to Obamacare. It does not include the mandates to buy insurance that have made Obamacare so unpopular, but the basic concept of government health care remains. It is merely a more attractive arrangement of deck chairs on the sinking Titanic. Getting politics completely out of health care is the only real solution. But the collectivists in both major parties would never dream of doing such a thing, don't you know? Atlantic, January 29th. We've become a socialist country. Amazing. Fascist at that. Okay, video. U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell says the IRS and the Treasury are preparing new rules for political groups who receive 501c for tax breaks. The goal is to silence White House critics by threatening the loss of their tax status. Fox, January 29th. And of course, that's what that 501c was all about. Controlling the churches and everything. So they can't tell their flock what's going on. Okay, next. The chief of police of a small town in New Mexico was placed on administrative leave by the county sheriff and told to disband his 10-member volunteer police force with no reason given for the action. It happened the morning after the chief attended a meeting of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Police Officers Association, a group dedicated to upholding the Constitution and resisting unconstitutional acts by the federal government, which doesn't follow the Constitution anyways. USA Preppers, January 29th. Video. Scientists are recreating bacteria that caused the bubonic plague. Yes. This is no doubt funded by the government for biowarfare purposes. If the bacteria becomes airborne, those coming in contact with it could be dead within 24 hours. Our tax dollars at work, don't you see? Russia Today, or RT, January 28th. Next video. More documents from Edward Snowden reveal that the NSA has been collecting data on activities of American citizens from such popular cell phone and computer apps as Angry Birds and Google Maps and Facebook and Twitter. But don't be worried. The NSA says it only uses the data when tracking foreign terrorists. Apparently we're all considered foreign terrorists in the U.S. now. CBS, January 28th. Very bad news coming out. Okay, next video. Mexico has legalized vigilante groups in the fight against drug cartels. The government did this after the vigilantes arrested local police who were known to be working with the cartels. Vigilantes will be under the direction of the army, which means they could eventually become corrupted the same as the police were. Drug cartels spend $100 million per month on bribes, so it remains to be seen if the new arrangement will make much difference. Adam Sitch, January 28th. Video. Ukrainian Prime Minister Azarov has resigned, and the government's anti-protesting law has been repealed after the protests continued anyway and became increasingly violent. Protesters are now calling for the president, Yanukovych, also to step down. I believe that's how it's pronounced. AP, January 28th. U.S. The Department of Justice has arrested two of the largest dealers in bitcoins. They are charged with money laundering and operation an unlicensed money transmitting service. If convicted, they could serve 30 years in prison. Zero Hedge, January 27th. Imagine that. They're going after Bitcoin because it's outdoing the petrodollar. American farmers, on this article, are beginning to abandon GMO crops because consumers increasingly are favoring conventional crops. RINF, January 27th. Next, video. The Grocery Manufacturers Group, one of the largest lobby groups in the U.S., has threatened to sue any state that requires labeling of GMO foods. Truthstream Media, January 27th. Well, of course, it's see article above. American people want to know what's in their food. I mean, they want to know if it's GMO or non-GMO. And they have already bought the word organic, so organic doesn't mean it's that anymore. In Florida, the new 10th Amendment legislation would nullify all federal gun laws by prohibiting any state agency from cooperating with the enforcement of federal gun control. Ben Swan, January 27th. That's interesting. Next, the Virginia state legislature is considering a bill to make local government officials personally liable when they intentionally violate the rights of property owners. Additionally, government entities must prove that their regulations are constitutional. The legislation was written after organic farmer Martha Boneta was harassed and fined for holding a children's birthday party and selling farm products on her private land. Imagine that, on her private land. It's as bad as these guys shutting down a girl's selling cookies on their private property. American Thinker, January 27th. And it's like the lemonade stands and everything. They have no rights to do that. I mean, they're making up all types of excuses why they're not getting a piece of the action. Anyways, video. Virginia. Fauquier County officials have been harassing organic farm Martha Bonita since 2012 for selling her farm products and hosting a children's birthday party on her land. She faces a $2 million fine that has occurred at $5,000 per day. Wow. Fox, January 27th. Talk about harassment and just downright criminals going after people on private property. Oh, man. Washington District of Criminals in D.C. In the last 5 years, more than 100 police officers were charged with crimes that include attempted murder, child pornography, running a prostitution ring with teenage girls, domestic violence, and drunk driving. So far, there have been 47 convictions. Daily Sheeple, January 26. Wow. Next, video. China. An anti-corruption Chinese activist who founded the New Citizens movement that inspired people to informally gather at dinner parties to discuss social issues has been sentenced to 4 years in prison. January 26. Seems like America wants to do that here. We're becoming more and more like the Chinese. University of Alaska professor linked disease and seals to radioactive contamination from Fukushima. Zero hedge. January 26th. Oh yeah, they're having all types of problems over there on the West Coast. Thyroid and diseases have went up, amazingly enough, from that very same thing. Okay. Yeah, and linked disease and seals to radioactive contamination from Fukushima. And starfish and everything dying, yeah. Next, Venezuela enacted the law of fair prices that bans profit margins over 30% and carries a 20-year sentence against people caught hoarding. Retail stores need higher margins than that to just break even. Expect most consumer goods and services to vanish, except those administered at loss by the government. By the way, hoarding is merely a collectivist word for saving. Globalist Economic Analysis, January 25th. Amazing. Video. Iraq executed 26 people accused of terrorism. Spokesman for the UN says that the executions are cruel and inhumane, but spokesman for the Iraqi government said capital punishment is the only way to put an end to violent opposition to government. Press TV, January 25th. Next, South Carolina's House and the state legislature voted unanimously 100-0 to ban the use of drones without a warrant. If passed, South Carolina will join Florida, Idaho, Illinois, Oregon, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia, all of which now have similar legislation. 10th Amendment Center posted January 25th. Click and be amazed. Talk about extreme rock climbing. This guy standing up on a very poor, like a tip of all this. Wow. It scares me, and I was a rock climber. Okay, analysis. This week, Judge Napolitano analysis a recent court decision allowing evidence obtained without a warrant to be used in the conviction of North Dakota farmer. The evidence was obtained by a drone, and it appears that the farmer may be guilty of the crime, but the Constitution requires a warrant to search one's private property, even if the search is done by a drone. It would have been easier to obtain a constitutional warrant than to arrange drone surveillance, which shows that law enforcement officials had no interest in following the law. This case eventually will be heard by the Supreme Court. Fox, January 30th. Next, video. Libertarian scholars critique Obama's State of the Union address. Succinctly, they explain what the political blah blah really means. Cato Institute. Very good article. And that's it for this week. Short and sweet. to see this photo. That baby knows how to sleep. Amazing. Then you got the humor for this week. And you got this picture of a dog. Woman and cat will do as they please, and men and dogs should relax and get used to the idea. Robert Hyman. And your unfiltered forum, get that for this week. Don't worry about solar storms. Really? And don't forget to check out the books on the right and the ads on the left. I don't show. And get informed, get awake. And well, that's it. I hope you have a wonderful what's left of the weekend. Super Bowl night. Hope there isn't any false flag event. Been seeing stories and before it's news about such things. And if something does happen, we'll know it's a false flag. Of course. Always do. There we go again. Have to recover the page. I don't know what's going on with IE9. Or 10 or whatever this is. It's Bill Gates' corrupt Windows anyways. I mean, they don't even take care of it anymore. I must have sent hundreds of these in saying something's wrong here, check it out, and they never do. Okay, there it is. Now you got to see everything. Until next time, be good, or be good at it, and have a very good day.